You want to be successful in the physical, and what does that look like? Having money, being secure, being stable, having your own, or whatever, that entails to you. Whatever success looks like to you, but like, what does your spirit look like? Because it's a lot of people out here that look successful, they look happy, they look like they've got it going on because they've got the things, they've got the money, they've got the nice things, you know what I mean? And from the viewpoint of the Matrix, whatever, like, that's the goal. That's what everybody should want. But there are a lot of people who have these things that you would think, because we've been conditioned to believe so, that you would think that they are fulfilled, that they are that they're happy. I think happiness is spiritual. Whatever, but are you really happy? Are you even really connected to yourself in that way where you can be honest with yourself and say, I'm not happy. I'm stable financially, and like, I'm okay, but I'm not fulfilled, because you've accepted your purpose, a vision, a mission. You know the impact that you want to have. And it requires you to tap into your power. I think that's the first step right now. Give yourself a moment. Give yourself a moment, and not in reference to this lot, not in reference to what you see going on around you, not in reference to your social media, no matter how well you've tailored it, and you see only the things that you want to see. Not in reference to those things or whatever. Look at your life, measure your life, and determine if you feel happy. And be honest with yourself about that. Be brutally honest with yourself about that. Be brutally honest about yourself. And it's not that you're out here faking it or that you're acting like you're happy, but you're keeping yourself tethered to something that isn't yours. You cannot measure yourself, your faith, against other people. I think sometimes we look at what we're doing in comparison to other people who, by some other standard, are the standard for how you should, be faithful and what your walk should look like if you are a true believer, right? So does that make me a non-believer or somebody who's not doing enough if I don't go to church every Sunday, or if I'm not presenting as a Christian or as a whatever, you know what I mean, a believer? if I'm not checking off these boxes, then I'm not as faithful, or I'm not as committed, or not devoted. I'm not. And that goes back to what I said in the beginning about your interpretation of this life, and your interpretation, your viewpoint, and why that's so important, and why I think you should lean into that totally and completely. Like, it's the difference between being, if you're someone who is conflicted about what you should be doing, like the example, like if you know you should be going to church, or if you're being called to go to church, that's conviction, you know what I mean? That's conviction. If you do need assembly, and you need to be held accountable, and you know that your walk is important to you, and this is something that's being, put on you, then you should deal with that. You should address that, but I feel like, if on the other hand, if you're conflicted about it, if you feel confused, or like, should I be doing that, or everyone else around me is doing it, or people are making me feel bad about it, you know what I mean, I feel pressured, or I feel, then I don't think that that's how God wants you to go about it. If my interpretation matters here, and somebody needs to hear my viewpoint, then that's how I don't think that God made us all to walk the same way, and walk the same path. Like I said, we may all have similar approaches. We need to sit together, and we need to commune, and we need to talk about the what matters, and we need to study together. Those things are important, but I don't think that God made everybody to go about their journey the same, or to gather the same, or and that's very important. So don't take away from your experience, or allow other people to make you feel like you're not just as committed and just as devoted, if not more, because there's a lot of people that go to church and they don't know what to do with their faith outside of the building. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot measure yourself up against anything other than the thing you believe in, and looking at your walk, and making sure that you are somebody that you respect. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about you? Take a moment, bruh. Am I happy? What do I truly think about myself, and not in reference to what you see outside of yourself? How do you really feel about your journey? And because I can honestly say, I'm doing pretty good for myself. You know what I mean? And it may not look like that to you, you know what I'm saying, or to the next person, or to somebody who could be in my position or something like that. I'm thinking about it as if somebody were to say, if I were you, I would be doing this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? If I had that position, if I was, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not measuring myself up to that anymore. I'm looking at my life. I'm taking stock, bro. Take inventory. You can check my stats, bro. I ain't never lost. Never lost. What LeVar Ball said, like, undefeated. When you really look at it, bro, take time to sit back and look at the things that you've truly overcome, bro. The wins, bro. You done did all this, checked off all these boxes, for everybody else, or for, you've done things that you were expected to do, or that you were supposed to do, or you've been obedient, you know what I mean? You've been diligent, you've been careful with your reputation, you've been, you know what I mean? But you've been devoted to something that no longer serves you. So it's time to reevaluate your interpretation, and how you're giving yourself credit. Because we're keeping ourselves in a place when we say, oh, because my life doesn't look like this person's, or because I'm not doing these X, Y, and Z, then I'm not pleasing to God, or I'm not going to get the thing. You know, it's just like, and then we're constantly trying to be something that we're not. We're constantly trying to check off these boxes on somebody else's list, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, when I say somebody else, I'm just thinking about anything outside of myself, you know? The structures. Everything ain't meant to be. You ain't. I'm gonna leave it at that. I feel good about this message. I hope you do too. I hope this message found you well. Take care of yourself, you know, and check yourself. Check on yourself. Check on yourself. You know. Love you.